So this is my review on Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is going to be a pretty critical review, so if you really enjoy this book, that's fantastic. Just don't watch this video. Instead of leaving hate or whatever, just click out of the video, it's fine. So a quick summary of this book's plot is that it's set in the near distant future in 2044, and there is this new virtual reality game called Oasis, which is very similar to our internet, except that it's 3D. You feel as if you're inside of the game. And it's everywhere. Literally every person on the planet uses this thing. It's a phenomenon. Which is completely understandable because the real world has gone to shit. It is riddled with poverty. The book is set in North America, and even there, majority of the people are dying. Now, the creator of Oasis, whose name is Halliday, he dies, and instead of leaving his fortune in a will, he creates a game in the Oasis. He leaves an Easter egg, and whoever is the first person to find that Easter egg gets his money and gets control or ownership of Oasis. So obviously there was huge publicity around this challenge. There are people called gunters who are egg hunters, and they devote their lives to trying to find this egg. Enters our character Wade, who is the first person ever to find the first key. And then our story continues from there. Now, one thing I loved in this novel was the world of Oasis. It was pretty much like nerd heaven. Because you can create anything, everything was created. The Star Wars universe, the Firefly universe, anything and everything goes. And I like that this book portrayed Oasis, which is obviously based off the internet, as a good thing. So often in dystopian novels, all technology is viewed as a bad thing. It seems like a bit of a cop-out for books like Fahrenheit 451. It seems like their solution is often, let's get rid of all the technology, and it's quite an oversimplification. So I enjoyed the viewpoint that Oasis is really positive, and it gives an escape, it gives socialization, it gives education. It's all the things that I experience with the internet. However, what is lacking in this novel is the development of the real world. It is severely underdeveloped. It is introduced in the very first chapter, and then it's pretty much forgotten. There is no resolutions to the problems that are brought up. It is mentioned partway through the novel that half the world's population is starving, and then there's no resolution to that. There's no mention of it ever again. It's almost as if it's brought up to try and add some depth to the novel, but if you're not going to give a proper conclusion to such a complex problem, don't bring it up in the first place. Now, I understand that this is escapist fiction, but I honestly expected more than what I was given, and I feel it promised more than what I was given. It might just want to be a book about hunting an Easter egg, but when it sets up the outside world, I want a resolution to that as well. There's a general low quality of writing. It's written, and then blah, 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 and then blah, 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 and it's almost like he's writing in bullet points. There is also very little original content in this novel. The book is littered with references. It's overloaded with references. There are far too many, and they're pointless. It wasn't world building. It didn't move the plot. It had nothing to do with characterization. It was just a reference, which means that he didn't actually have to create anything new or describe anything new. All he has to do is just say a reference. The Halliday backstory on how he grew up and how Oasis was invented was probably the most original thing in the book. For that reason, I think it was the most interesting, but even that was obviously based on people like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. His characters feel completely one-dimensional. There's a very clear good and bad in the novel. For example, there's a big evil corporation in the novel called IOI who wants to take over the Oasis. And yet, Halliday was obviously a good person, yet he had a huge corporation too, and he wasn't exactly helping out the starving people with his billions of dollars. This just seems a very dry book, and I was incredibly disappointed. I thought I was going to love it. I have heard nothing but good things about this. There's so much hype surrounding this book, and I thought it was going to be a 5-star novel for me, but it really disappointed me. I also kept thinking of all these plot holes throughout the novel. I won't list them because they involve spoilers, but I probably thought about at least a dozen plot holes that completely destroy this novel. Now, with all of the references in this novel, I can completely understand why it has so much hype, but In all honesty, I think it's incredibly overrated. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to judge people who love this novel. Loving novels is great. I've heard nothing but praise, and I just wanted to add a different perspective to the mix and share my thoughts. So if you've listened all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. Please comment and tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time.